not sure if I should be telling you this, but please don't. Do not, whatever you do, Google this. I mean, I can understand your skepticism. I can Google whatever I want, right? Nothing's going to happen. Believe me, that's not true. Is there anything in the world I shouldn't touch? Another man's wife. Is there something in the world you cannot eat? Yes, a fugu cooked in this city. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you that thing that you should not Google. But first, we need to look at some background information. To illustrate my point, we're going to go up here. It's hard to describe the atmosphere as I walked into that place. There were people sitting there in complete silence. It was like this was a place where you dare not raise your voice, a sacred space. I'm going to tell you about something unfamiliar to most people today. With information always at our fingertips, we're unfamiliar with things that are off limits. But back in Old Testament times, there was this place called the Holy of Holies, a place where God was said to dwell. People died going into this place unprepared. The speed at which we can access information today is scary. But we can dive into things without thinking. I encourage you, be curious about spiritual things you can't explain. But don't hurry into it and expect instant results. This is a slow journey. A journey we prepare ourselves for. Alright, as promised, what's that thing you should not Google? Did you skip through that other bit? I think you did. The Bible says that no one can look upon the face of God and live. I'm not sure if Google has a photo of God's face. Yeah, just to be sure, I wouldn't go looking for it. The interesting thing is there is a way into God's presence. If you are curious, stay with me a few more minutes as we dig a bit deeper. You know, I think what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes is really a way to make an ordinary life that little bit extraordinary. Bring the holiness back into life, the wonder, I guess. And to look at this more, we're going to have a look at probably a very well-known Bible passage. And we see Moses here. One day Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. Pretty ordinary day, an ordinary life. He's leading a flock of sheep like he would have done many times. What happens next? There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go see it. You know, Moses could have kept going. So often I think we walk past those sort of things that are different and unusual or opportunities. But Moses takes the opportunity to stop. He's curious, goes to take the next step, goes to have a look. And I think that's a key to stepping outside the ordinary. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, that's interesting. God called to him from the middle of the bush, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses replied. Do not come any closer, the Lord warned. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Moses, when he heard this, covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord told him, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. Even though we might not be aware of God, He is aware of us. He sees the suffering in our world. And watching the news, you see these things that we can't explain, untold suffering of other people around the world. God sees that, and we can be sure of it. Often we might not understand it or have answers for it, but God sees it, and in a way that is comforting.
And what does God do? So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians. God's power is greater than any power, human power on earth. And lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them. Cry out to God. He hears you, and he won't ignore you. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people out of Egypt. God uses ordinary, everyday people to help others. And we see that here. Moses, an ordinary guy, being called by God to do something extraordinary. But Moses protested to God, "Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt?" He's all too aware of his ordinariness. And I think that's important. We need to just be ourselves, not have this air of we're something special, but God sees us as we are and chooses to use us as we are. Moses here, just a guy going about his business and curious about the things that might be happening around him. And I think we miss those chances so often. There's, this guy that rides past all the time, and I see him often. And it was only last week that I stopped to talk with him and got to hear some of his perspective, things I would have never have known. And I think it's like that with God sometimes. We can get on with our days and so often miss opportunities to step outside in the ordinary and see a God who is aware of things that we aren't, is aware of people who need help. And the thing is that God uses people, ordinary people, to answer those calls. The question is, are we listening? Are we curious enough to respond to God? So thank you for watching. If you're curious and you'd like to see more, please check out some of our other content. Get into the Bible. Send us a message if you have any questions. And of course, we'll respond to any comments you've got down below. But apart from that, we'd love to see you on Thursday for our Zoom call, or on Monday or Tuesday for our other videos, links and details on our website.